Dude, it is good to finally meet you, Eric Nam. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You were one of the guys I've wanted to meet for quite a while.
And really?
I think it's because, well, you're an artist, musician, love your stuff, but you kind of do what you do, what I do. That sounds awkward. A lot of dues on this. Like you interview a lot of artists, right?
Absolutely.
So to talk to someone who does the same thing, I mean, I got a lot of questions for you.
Let's get to it. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to get into it.
First of all, you're on tour right now, the There and Back Again tour. Do you like life on the road? I know you love. I assume you love being on stage. Who wouldn't love that? But everything that comes with road life. I mean, you're traveling in a bus quite a bit. Do you love life on the road?
Life on the road is a lot of fun, actually. The first week or two is always an adjustment because you go to sleep at really weird hours and you wake up in a new place every day. But once you're in the routine, it's fun. We have a little family, a community on tour. We have 2 buses and a semi-truck.
Oh, my God.
And so it's about like 18 people that we're with, and it's like it becomes a family and a unit. And so we get up every day. Some people go get coffee, some work out, and then we just go through the routine every day, and we know what to expect. Of course, we have craziness of tour and things that happen unexpectedly, but we try to find our moments of normal, be that going out for a family meal or cooking or going for group activities. It is really fun.
I've seen you on your stories and whatnot, your social posts, that you'll pull up somewhere. I'm not sure where maybe outside the venue, and you'll have this stove you kind of set up outside the bus, and you're cooking all this. It looks delish, but is that kind of what's going on here?
So this is the best investment that I've made on this tour. Forget everything else.
Okay.
The best investment that we've made is we went to a H-Mart, like a Korean grocery store, and we got a stove, like a burner, and it's portable, it's really light, and I was like, I think I'd like to cook whenever I get a chance, just to eat a little healthier. And so we picked one up. It was like $20, and since then we've been cooking, eggs and ramen, and we have Span musubi, and what did we do recently? Curry. Things that we would like to get at home, but maybe we can't get on the road at a restaurant. And so it's been a lot of fun to do that.
One of these days, I want to see you in concert. I know you're doing the shows and whatnot around in LA, but I want to hang out and do this. I want to eat some of your roadside cook. Maybe I'm asking for more than maybe.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
let's do it. You let me know when you're free. I'll walk into this studio with a stove and we'll make a full meal.
Done. Okay, another thing about road life I've heard, I've talked to a lot of artists, and I guess some people get real excited when the bus pulls up to like late night. Pulls up to like a 24-hour Walmart. Is that as exciting to you as I've heard?
Well, so
it's a big deal for some people. I don't know why.
Our bus is stopping when I'm sleeping. So usually it's not going to happen. I'm not going to get up and roll out to a Walmart or a truck stop. But
you're missing out on life, apparently.
Yeah, but we did get off at one point. And here's the thing with my crew is we are always getting in trouble. And so and we're making stupid, dumb bets with each other. So
obviously I have to ask what.
So this will, I'm sure, be on social at some point, but our photographer was like, Eric, buy me something. I was like, what do you want? He's like, that bag right there. And it was this really, I'm sorry, I think it's the ugliest bag I've seen. It's like a bright purple bag with a bear embroidered to the side of it.
Okay.
And I was like,
this
you
is
want
at a Walmart? Or
this is at like a 24-hour truck stop.
Oh boy, that's even
And I was like, you want that bag? He's like, yes. And I was like, I will buy you that bag if this guy eats and drinks the pickle in a bag right here. And so we had my one of my engineers. He ate a sour warhead pickle and drank the entire juice.
Oh,
so I would buy Joel, our photographer, the ugliest purple bag. Now, the additional point to this is if we buy this bag, if you do not wear this bag at all points, at all times, Jacob and myself, we can flick you on the forehead. And he said, deal. So there have been a lot of flickage of the foreheads. And then we bought maybe 8 more extra pickles. And we're having pickle wars on the bus. We just keep throwing them in random places of the bus. So it's been a very mature adult time on this bus.
It seems like it's either the greatest time ever or the worst time ever. And
it's all about perspective.
Yeah, that's true. And once again, he has to wear this bag no matter where, to the restroom, going to
all
bed.
the time.
Even in bed, he has to wear this.
In the bed, we're like, it's okay. But we have a photo of him at the hot tub at one of our stops with a bag and a beer, just hanging out.
Why do I love him so much? What's his name again?
Joel. If you come to the show, I'll introduce you guys.
All right, Joel. I have to meet Joel, and he better have this. What about if he doesn't have the bag on when I meet him? Am I?
You're not allowed to.
I'm not allowed to.
You're
flick
not flick him, but you tell me, and I can flick him.
Oh,
yeah.
Perfect. All right,
I'll run over.
Eric, now I'm hanging out, you guys. The album is House on a Hill.
Yes,
and to my understanding, it was inspired by or partially by you doing this house hunting.
Yes.
Give me that whole story.
Actually, hold on.
Oh, what do we got?
I have a black bag, but I brought you an album.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
There
my
you go.
God. Thank you
that
very
is the
much.
album. And I was looking for a home, and one of my favorite things to do when I'm really bored on a Sunday is to just go to open houses.
Even if you're not looking for a house? You
Just
go
to
open
be like,
houses.
wow, like, this is a beautiful house, or how do other people live? Like, I feel like I get a glimpse into
How to decorate, maybe an idea. Gotcha.
And I just
Okay.
love looking at houses. I don't know, maybe I'm weird. But I found this house. I'm like, this is the best house ever. I need to get this house. The only issue is it was on the steepest and most insane hill I've ever seen. And I was like, the chances of me getting out of an Uber somewhat tipsy and falling and rolling down and dying they're so high. I can't get this house. But I still think about it all the time. But when I
visual just
exactly.
Yeah.
But when I was saying, okay, I'm not going to get this house, it led me down this spiral of like, but why do I want a house? Why do I want this house? What are the things that matter to me? And it started to get me to question what means a lot to me in life and this existential crisis, essentially, which led to this album.
And I think you had mentioned in some statement that as you kind of made this, scenario about this house in your head to create the album, it became kind of spooky and kind of.
Yeah, so we shot like a short film and like a bunch of music videos in this really crazy spooky house in Silver Lake. It's on top of this hill. It's like a mansion. And we find out that like My Chemical Romance wrote one of their albums there. Like, I walked in, I was like, this is definitely haunted. Like, yeah, there's some like activity here. And I was like, oh, great. So we just kind of fed off of it. And so the short film, I'm not sure exactly when and how we're going to release it right now, has a lot of weird, creepy vibes in it.
Love it.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm into the paranormal. I'll get to that later.
Okay.
I'm neck deep in that stuff.
Okay.
Right, this album is also a culmination of 10 years of being a musician. Aside from the house thing, I mean, you put a lot into it. You've worked on your craft for a long time leading up to this album you handed me right now.
Yeah.
Talk about that 10 years being a musician, funneling into that.
Oh man, it's kind of, I feel like I blinked and it was 10 years. Time really flies.
Right.
But I think this album, I spent a lot of time on just, I think as a creative, when you're writing or you're creating, you tend to second guess a lot of the things that you're doing. Like, is this good? Is this right? Are these the right creative decisions? And I think at a certain point, you have to trust your instinct and your gut, and it comes with time and experience. And I think 10 years was a solid amount of time for me to really hone my storytelling and my craft and to feel confident walking away from having written an album. And so when I put this album together, I was like, okay, this is like 10 years of trial and error and all these different things that I went through for me to feel really solid and grounded and confident in saying, this is a piece of work that I wanted to put together, that I feel good about, that I want the world to hear. And it was one of the first times that I felt like I could actually say that without feeling like really scared or nervous about it.
Are you the type guy, and I've talked to some artists, big artists, some of the guys of Coldplay. Chris didn't tell me this, but I forget which member told me. They put the music out, and after they put it out, they can't, or this one particular, he couldn't listen to it because why didn't I change this? Why didn't I add that?
Yeah.
And this is Coldplay.
Yeah.
Or do you have a bit of that in you, or maybe with this album that has changed?
I think every album has a bit of that. Like, you always hear like, oh, why did I sing it this way? Or I should have put in this word or that thing. But I'm like this with not only just creative, but life. It's like when you make a decision and you're like, this is the best thing at the time, like you just kind of have to live with it.
Right.
And that anything that comes after is a result of that best decision at that time. So there's no point in making and having the regrets or kicking yourself. You're just like, at the moment, this was the best decision, and that's what you live with.
Fair enough for that.
That's kind of how I've approached it.
Last thing about House on a Hill. About a house. Did you find a house?
No. I still don't. Here's what I came down to. I was like, I live nowhere. I'm so all over the place that it doesn't make sense for me to just buy a place and have it be empty all the time. So at the moment, I have places in Atlanta, in Seoul, in LA, and I live like maybe a few weeks total in any of them.
So you're paying rent, but not staying there.
It's really dumb.
Oh my God.
I'm really stupid, guys.
Stop it. All right, the single, I Wish I Wasn't Me. Clearly, this is a song with a serious backstory. Obviously, unless I'm just nuts. Give me the backstory on this track.
This was written by this British duo that I love, Oh Wonder. They're a husband and wife duo, but I was in London on a writing trip, and we just clicked. We had a great time, and we were just sitting there talking about life, and we had written for, I guess, 2 days, and the songs before them were pretty, like positive and happy and lovey-dovey, and I was like, I'm curious what it would feel like if we went deeper. And one of the things that I was struggling with is last year I toured like 9 months out of the year. And on paper or for any, metric of success as a touring musician, that's like a big deal to be touring that long and successfully. But even amidst all that success, there are moments where I felt incredibly lonely or alone, or I didn't want to be doing it. And we kind of took a deep dive into that sentiment of, even though I've played in front of thousands of people, as soon as I'm off stage and the adrenaline rush is gone, I sit there in my green room alone, and I'm like, is this life? Is this happiness? Is this peak of everything that I can have and that I can achieve? And then you start spiraling down and asking yourself all these questions about happiness and existence. And it was that emotion that we try to bottle up into a song called I Wish I Wasn't Me.
Wow. The song aside, have you come to a conclusion on, does it make you happy?
I think being a musician and touring is one of the best moments of my life. Like it's one of the things that make me most happy. But I think it's also understanding that it's such an extreme to be screaming and jumping with thousands of people, and then to the extreme of like you're literally alone in a room.
Nobody's screaming.
Nobody's, and it's just
right.
like, it's just they're polar opposites. So it's only completely normal for there to be a complete come down in that sense. And this tour, I think I've just been trying to appreciate and enjoy every emotion and moment for what it is, and without having to think about it and overthink things, I guess. And that's been a process. So there will be moments where I'm on tour and I'm tired or I'm exhausted or I don't want to get up, and I'm just like, yeah, but like, dude, this is life. This is just the way things are. Everything can't be good and perfect at all times. You just have to embrace all of it and not just pick and choose. You can't just pick and choose the positive sides.
So I'm reading between the lines here. I guess what you're saying is balance.
Yeah, it is. It's all about balance. And that's just what I'm trying to embrace.
So part of your life, you got screaming fans. The other part of your life, you're flicking a dude on the forehead because he doesn't have his purple backpack on. That's
exactly.
called balance.
It's
that's
balance.
All right, you and I do. You interview a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Same with me. When people interview me, they ask me this question: give me you're not going to give me names, at least not on the negative side, but give me your favorite 3 interviews, and like who really, like, man, that was a great chat.
Oh,
it sticks in my head forever. And then tell me at least what happened on what you consider one of your worst. You won't give me a name. Nor should you.
I'd say some highlights for me, interviews. Jamie Foxx.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Was a big highlight. It was actually in LA, and this is when I was starting out interviewing. And I'm sure you've done like junkets and like random things.
I'm not a fan of junkets, but yes, I
They're
have.
very stressful because they're like, you have 3 minutes starting now. And I was like, hi. They're like, you're done. I was like, we got nothing. We can't use any of it.
I hate red carpet stuff. I hate it,
And so I did Spider-Man. So it was Emma Stone, Andrew Garfield, and Jamie Foxx. Emma and Andrew, wonderful people, but like we got through like, hello, nice to meet you. And they're like, time to go. I was like, we didn't even do a question. And so we get out and the producer was like, we really need something with Jamie because we have nothing to use. Like that's of consequence with Emma and Andrew. Like they cut us off too quickly. So we walk into Jamie and I was like, oh God, how are we going to do this? But Jamie was like the nicest guy ever, and he was like, "Hey, like, what do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm actually like I'm a singer." And he's like, "What do you like K-pop?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, and he just went off this tangent about K-pop and Gangnam Style and all these things. He's like, "Sing me one of your songs," and I sang him I only had one song out at the time. He immediately memorized the song in Korean. He's a genius.
What?
Sang it back to me, and then we harmonized together on that song in Korean. And then he had his assistant video that entire moment, put it up on his Instagram, and was like, "This is Eric. He's a singer. Everybody should look out for him. He's incredible." And I was like, "You're the nicest guy ever,
dude."
And it's like a core memory for me. So that is why Jamie is absolutely one of my favorite interviews ever. Another one would be Jackson Wang.
I love Jackson.
He's a friend, but also he came to the show, my podcast, just like ready to talk. And it was to the point where it's like, "Jackson, we have to like let people leave. They need to go home." They're like, "No, but like let's just hang out." I was like, "Jackson, like, I don't want to know any more about you. Please, let's just stop." And he was like, why do you hate me? Why are you sending me? I was like, "It's been 3 hours." So that was, I always appreciate when people come willing and able to open up and talk about everything. So that was another. And then another one is Ryan Reynolds, because I'm just a massive Ryan Reynolds fan. And I think he was one of the few where I was like, "It's Ryan Reynolds." Because
Holy crap.
think, yeah,
one of those moments.
Yeah, because I think he's just a comedic genius, but also a very savvy business guy. And that is where I would like to manifest myself going, building businesses, but also staying in creative. And I think he's a great role model for that.
How was your experience on Hot Wings?
Oh, that was fun. That was spicy. They cut out a lot of cursing. So
really? Is it as hot as they say it is?
It was, you know what? They said I did very well. I finished 3 wings, which nobody has done on the segment that I did. And it was just like the most spicy kind of ones, but it was spicy. I was coughing. There were a lot of cursing words. But it was fun. It was a good time.
Okay, well, I'm glad you survived that.
Yeah.
All right, we're jumping all over here. Acting, you have the lead in this psychological thriller. I don't know much about it, but it's called Transplant. It sounds vicious in the best way possible. What details on Transplant and when it comes out and all that?
Transplant. I actually have no idea when it's coming out, and it's also weird because the strike is over, so I could talk about it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, as of very recently.
Yeah, it's like 24 hours ago.
Yeah, it was a process to shoot. It was a psychological thriller, and so it took me to very dark places, naturally. But it was a challenge, and what can I say about it? It was a lot of blood. It was a lot of screaming. There was some crying.
So it's a Disney movie?
Yes.
Disney Channel?
Disney actually is taking a big pivot. They're going to
going to go with the murder approach.
Yeah. But I got to star opposite Bill Camp, who is an incredible actor, and he's in things like 12 Years a Slave and Queen's Gambit and these incredible films. And so to be able to work with him and to learn from him was actually a great experience. I'm not sure when or how it's coming out, but as soon as I know, I will let you know.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Once again, Eric Nam is here. Eric, you don't know this about me aside from what I've told you, but I am obsessed with the paranormal. Ghosts.
Are you?
Yeah, haunted houses, even UFOs to a degree. But I have a podcast called Paranormalish. I mean, I'm off the deep end, and it has nothing to do with Halloween. It's just year-round.
Okay.
Have you ever had anything you would consider a paranormal experience? Some people have told me, and I don't know where you felt, like sleep paralysis even kind of falls into it to a degree.
Yeah.
But what is your, if anything?
I've had sleep paralysis a lot. So I've heard a lot of stories. I've also I feel like I can feel presences sometimes. Like in Korea particularly, they say there are a lot of ghosts in music studios.
I've heard that so many times from so many artists.
Yeah. So it's because in Korea they say ghosts really like music. And so the first studio that used to work out of, there were these wooden like plaques with like red symbols all over them. It's like, what is this for? It's like, because there are ghosts in this studio. They're always here, and we try to keep them like at bay.
No kid, like serious conversation.
Yeah. And it was, and the musician that I was working under, he was like my mentor on this TV show where I got discovered. He was saying like, it's to the point where in one of his music videos, there is a ghost. And this is like, if you go on YouTube, if you look it up, there is there's a ghost in one of the scenes just standing at the front of the subway car. She's not supposed to be there. There's no reason for anybody to have hired somebody to just stand in a subway car dressed as a ghost. And it's this ghost that's been with them, I think, for a long time.
What video is this?
I have to look it up, but my mentor, his name is Lee Seung-hwan. He's like a legend, like a rock ballad legend in Korea. But if you type in his name and music video ghost, whatever, it's there. There's like at the front of the train car, this white ghost just standing there.
And it wasn't an extra or anything like that?
No, and they're like this. We're not making this up. She's not supposed to be there, but she's there on camera, and it's just there.
I've got to see that.
I will send it to you. I'll show it to you later. But for me personally, I think the closest that I've gotten to is like there are late nights at studios where I felt like things like passing by or like in the windows, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, God, this is crazy. I must be imagining it. But sleep paralysis is definitely something that I've had a lot.
That's terrifying stuff.
Yeah. Have you had sleep paralysis?
I have not, and I've talked.
Oh, it's not fun.
Yeah, I talk about it so much with certain people that come in here and there, and I'm thinking, if I keep talking about it, is it going to happen? Am I kind of asking for it? And I hope not.
You know what? It's not that bad.
Stop it! You just said it was terrible. It's awful. Oh my God.
There's only been once or twice where I've like sleep paralysis started for me where I wake up and I can't move, and it's a really weird, freaky thing. And I see people moving and all the lights are on and everything's happening, but I can't move, and you're like screaming to wake up, but you can't.
Ugh.
And then I was like, I don't know what happens. I just like fall back asleep and I wake up. But then there are other times where I wake up and I literally, it feels like there's like spirits or demons just like floating around my face. And it's like, I'm like, oh my God. And I just like, I'm praying like, dear Lord Jesus, please. I don't know what's happening.
Whoa.
And then I just like kind of go back to sleep. But it's happened a few times. Nothing beyond that, but that's been my extent of sleep paralysis.
I've been told that because a lot of people say there is a being, in your case, several, that you see. And some people say, of course, very evil and that's whatever. And some people think that these scary beings are stopping you from going farther. Now, I don't know what's true. I'll probably never know. But there's a couple of ways to look at it. These beings are holding you back from something worse if you go farther into it. Whatever that means.
So maybe not all bad.
Maybe, although I'm sure they're very terrifying looking. It's to be continued on that.
Yes.
For sure. Final question on this stuff. At some point, you should join me, and we'll go to a real haunted location.
No.
Yes. Eric. Yes. It'll be fun. It won't be fun.
Okay. I on tour, we were like, what do we do on an off day? We went to like a haunted mansion thing.
Like a real?
No, like one of those like
Disney kind of. Oh, like the Halloween thing.
Yeah. Even there, I was like pooping my pants. I was like, I'm about to pass out. If we went to a real one, I don't know. It would be funny because I would probably just poop my pants.
Well, you know what? That'd be a funny video.
Yeah,
and we could bring, your friend with the purple backpack would be hanging out too.
Actually, yeah, he calls me because I'm always just doing things behind his back. He's like, "You are the sleep paralysis demon to me." And I was like, "Okay."
God, you're tormenting him like your dreams torment. Yeah. Hey, what are your family, friends, your day ones? What's their reaction to all this success you've had? And granted, you're still a long ways to go. The sky's the limit, but you've done some really cool things. What's their reaction?
I think my mom is always like, "Why?" She's like,
"What do you mean, my mom?
Why?" I remember earlier, a few years ago, she was like, "Do people like you? Like, why do people like you?" I was like, "I don't know." No, it's all been very, obviously very positive, very supportive, and it's still very surreal in many ways. I think they help put it into perspective for me. Like for me, I'm just working. I'm just doing what I can and creating and pursuing what I can pursue. But when I see friends and family from back home and back in the day, they help me kind of see it in perspective of like, hey, like you're doing all these really cool things. Like that's massive. Congratulations. And I'm like, oh yeah. All right. Thank you so much. And it is very nice to have them there to reemphasize that and to ground me in many ways.
Grounding you as in make sure, granted, not that you would do this, but some family keeps you from getting the big head.
Oh yeah.
Like, they your mom's like, they don't like you?
Yeah. Well, my mom does that very well. She's like, you're not that great. And I'm like, thank you, Mom. And then I have other friends because I think I almost have this thing where I don't appreciate how much I have done and how much I am doing. I'm just always like, okay, what's next? What more can we do? How do we do this better? And it's more of a very ambitious mentality, almost to a detriment. Whereas my friends and the people around me is like, hey, like take a step back. Like you've actually done a lot of things and you could kind of chill out.
Right.
And that's another way that I think they keep me very grounded and grateful for the things that I do have, which I think is difficult sometimes in a world where everything can look like we can do more or have more and more and more and more and more is what we need to have.
Right. Goals for 2024.
Goals are 20. Oh, wow. It's already that time.
Yeah, it's close.
Oh, goals for 2024. I think I really want to dive a little bit more into the film and TV world.
Producing, acting, or all?
I think all. Music, I think I'll probably start writing again for whatever next project, whenever that is to come. But more than that, more than anything, I want to take some time off.
Good for you.
So that is the biggest goal.
Thank God. I mean, it's as exciting and as much as you love it, it's a lot. You know?
It is a lot. It takes a physical and emotional, mental toll, and it's so fun. And that's why we oftentimes kind of ignore it. But I think recognizing that it is a lot, you have to make the time for yourself, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Final question: message to your fans in the U.S., around the world.
Message to the fans. Thank you so much, as always, for listening to the music and the content that I'm putting out, and for connecting. And I think without my fans, what I do, so much of it is meaningless, because the stuff I create is to be talked about, is to be connected over. And so thank you for always being there. But as always, more than anything, I just hope that people are happy, that they're healthy, that they're kind to one another, and that they know that they're loved. And as long as you guys are listening, I'll be here to create some, hopefully, continuously great stuff. So thank you so much.
Dude, it's great to meet you. Seriously.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. At the end of every interview, Eric Nam, fist bump to make it official. Give me a little bye.
There we go. Bye.